needed love and to be loved by you. But there's something else that I'm seeking.
Hello. How you doing? Welcome to CDR. Who's here for the first time? Hands up. Cool, a few of you. Okay, where have you been hiding, man? Where you been hiding? Yeah, where you been hiding? Yeah.
I don't normally live in Nottingham. I'm from Tokyo.
Okay. I think that tops Portsmouth, doesn't it? Yeah, in terms of people. Welcome to CDR. Those of you who are new here, yeah, you're welcome. The night of ideas and tracks in the making. My name's Tony. I'm hosting the night. Yes, this night is all about an opportunity to hear new music. And if you brought a track down, you can obviously hear it on a great sound system. Give it to all the producers and artists who brought tracks down. That's very much part of what we do here. And what we also do is have a fantastic opportunity to speak and have discussions and nerd out with artists and producers that we really respect and admire. And today we are blessed to have Yazmin Lacey with us in the building. Give it up for Yazmin.
I should get this. Hello. How is everyone? All right?
Wicked, yeah. Thank you very much for making the time to be with us today.
Sorry. I'm not even shy. As soon as I picked up the mic, I was like, whoa, okay. Hi.
Yeah, good. So before we kind of delve into, talk through some of your music, let's kind of get to know a bit about you, sort of thing. So,
yeah.
First of all, what was it like, kind of growing up, Madame Lacey?
Growing up, grew up in Manor Park in East London, which is different from Manor House. Everyone goes, "Oh, Manor House," and it's like it's not the same. And surprisingly, just no music in the family. No one plays an instrument in my family. There's always music around because but no one plays an instrument. No, I think I did church choir for like 2 weeks. But I think when they were like, you need to sing this, I was just like, oh, this is not for me. I'm just out. But did lots of like arts programs, you know what I mean, through school, after school clubs and things like that, which I think in one way or another has probably shaped or lent towards me doing music. Went to school in East London. And then I left London when I was like 18 to work on an arts project in Amsterdam, and then I went straight to uni in Leicester, and then I basically never came back until like 3 years ago. So I actually didn't start making any music at all in London until the last year or something, the last few years. Yeah. And I was at uni in Leicester doing drama and education, and then I went to Nottingham just like as a fluke night out, and it was a really good party and I didn't leave. and I spent 11 years there, and that's where I started to make music.
Got you.
Yeah.
So when did the music thing emerge? Did it emerge from university or was it after that?
No, I'm going to tell the actual story because it's actually really sweet. When I first moved to Nottingham, I met this guy in a bar through my friends, and he was like, the first time that I had the conversation with him, he said to me like, "Oh, do you make music?" And I was like, "Nah." And he was like, "But you sing." And I just thought he was trying to chirp me, or I was hoping. And he was like, "Nah, you do. Like, I'm a producer, you do." And I was like, "What makes you so sure?" Because he kept saying it. And he was like, "It's the tone of your speaking voice." And honestly, that's how I started making music, because I fancied him so much. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go to the studio, And, we're not still together because that would be a really cute story. But, that was it. It was just like a literal, and I always tell that because it's like one really small decision or conversation, actually now looking back, has changed my entire life. So, we made a song together. I can still remember all of it. It was like all candles in the studio, and I was really nervous because you forget that especially if you don't want to make music, like it's actually embarrassing for people to sing out loud. Do you know what I mean? It's like you feel like, and I'm not used to hearing myself in that way, No. So Went to the studio. I remember I sent him to the shop to get some wine, and I was like, leave it running so that no one was in there, which I still, to be honest, make everyone get out of the room sometimes. And then I sang some stuff, just like whatever was in my head, mainly noises. And when he came back from the shop, I was like, play it. He played it. I was like, it sounds like a song. I was like, what did you do? And he was like, that's just you. And I was like, but what have you? It just blew my mind that that's how things could come together. And that was it. Like from then, like regardless of him, I was like, this is so exciting. Mm-hmm. And it felt good to have a feeling in your body. And then there's like a sound coming out. And then it had left me, whatever that was, good, bad, or whatever.
So how did it feel to kind of discover that, actually there is an artist in me, albeit from Chirp's situation?
But do you know what? Even after that, I didn't really think of it like that. It's kind of like a long story. So we made that song, and then it kind of went tits up between me and him. So I just like dashed the CD, and then that was it.
Creative differences.
And then that was it. Like, so it's like maybe I made that at like 25 or something. Mm-hmm. We made this one song, and then I just didn't do any music because it wasn't. My background is like in working with young people, prisons, PRUs, after school clubs, charities, that kind of thing. So I had a lot going on. Like I didn't really have time, and but through him, I'd met other musicians, and I go to their gigs and stuff like that. Or sometimes I hang out with them, and they'll be playing something like a loop, and in my head I could start to hear stuff, but I was just super shy. And then one time I was sitting with my friend Esther. She was playing something and she was trying to write something. And I was like, oh, that sounds nice. She had these chords on the guitar. And I was like, that sounds nice. And in my head, I could like hear the melody like straight, but I didn't want to say it because I was too shy. And she was like, have you got something? And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, I'll just record the chords and then I'll just do it on my own time. Mm. And then she did. It was like 2 chord loop. And then she left. And then that's when I wrote my first song.
Beautiful. Yeah. That's great. So how did the first EP come about? In terms of you've met some musicians, you've got this kind of, layer of confidence in terms of knowing that you've got this ability to write. Yeah. How do they then go from there to your first EP?
So I got offered my first couple of shows, and I think I agreed to it when I was out at an event, and a few too many were. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I saw the flyer on Facebook and it had my name. And I was like, oh, okay. And then she goes like, do you have a 20-minute set? And at the time, it's like, I've got like 2.5 songs. So it's like, I don't even know what 20 minutes of music feels like. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, yeah, I think so. We did it. It was super close, intimate. I couldn't look at anyone. I just did the 2.5 songs kind of in a loop to like waste about 15 minutes. And I felt so sick afterwards. I thought, this is horrible. Mm-hmm. Why does anyone do this? And people said to me afterwards, oh, that was really good. But when you see someone so nervous and you want to be encouraging, I thought that's what it was. And so I thought, it was such a mind thing. Mm-hmm. I was like, I can't do this. So I'll only do it if someone asks me again, I'll take it as a sign from above that I'm supposed to do it one more time. And then did a few more gigs, and my now manager came to one of the shows that I was doing for my friend in Nottingham, and she was like, I really I need you to email me. And she was like, I'm setting up this project. And I was like, babe, I run a charity, I'm not really interested in X Factor. She started laughing, she was like, rude. And she was like, if I don't see your email on Monday. And I don't know if I sent it. She was like really set on me doing the thing. Mm-hmm. And she resent the email of the project, but with my demo in it. And that was on SoundCloud. And she was like, really think you should apply. And she was like, examples like this are fine. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, all right, did it. And she was like, you should put some of your songs out there. I always wanted to work with a band because it was like I tried to find it. Mm-hmm. The first ever version of the first song that I made, because it was the 2 chord loop from my friend. Mm-hmm. And my bangles that I always usually wear, and then just layers of me. And she was like, but they're not real songs. Like I can't like you know. And I was talking to my friend in Nottingham. He was like, "Yo, he was like, what would your like dream be?" I was like, "You know what I'd love to do? I was like, I'd love to like do a little thing with a band." And he was like, "Okay." Met this guy called Pete Beardsworth. We went for a drink, and he was like, I was like, "I want a band." I was like, "But I don't even know." I was like, "I've got these songs. They're just like chords." And he went, "You find a rehearsal room. I'll find you a band, and we'll meet on Monday." And that was it, basically. And then went into, so I feel like my schooling, because I got no musical training still now, anything like that, was, I have been always forever learning from jazz musicians in the rooms that I've been in with them, you know, because the Techers is insane. But after a while, it became like a more equal exchange of the fact that they're coming from, you know, their approach of it. They'll be like, yes, you can't sing that harmony on top of that because those two chords won't work together. And I'm like, who said? Like, because in my mind, that doesn't make any sense. It's just like a thing. So I think we had got this really nice balance of like, well, I'm hearing this, I just want to hear this. And they'd be like, no, but it needs this texture. I'm like, I don't know what texture, I don't know what it's like, just put this, you know what I mean? And it was that kind of thing. We started jamming the songs around. And yeah, I think I had A Mother Lost, Black Moon, and Still, which basically were kind of like pretty much nearly all the same chords at the time, and I was just singing different. Yeah. And then we expanded on them. We just jammed for hours and hours, and because I had the charity at the time, it was like my therapy, because it was like social services and police reports. It was so intense that I was like, when I clock off, like about 9, go to rehearsal room till like 1, 2 in the morning, have a zoo, like just, it was perfect. It was like my way of like escaping the rest of it. And so we just, every week, jammed and jammed and jammed and jammed, and then that's how the record came about.
Amazing. Well, let's have a listen to A Mother Lost, and then you can reflect on that.
I have fallen madly, deeply blue, head over heels in your curse. That's why it took me longer to feel I know my own worth. Lamb to the slaughter, you have rescued me, and I won't live a life in vain. Another time, but this was meant to be. We share the secret of pain. Forget me never. Let me be in your lives. Forget me never. Let me be in your lives. Small enough to slip by, big enough to crush my heart. Something changed in me that day. I felt I played my parts, and by that I lost. Baby, take the earth and let it heal. No, nothing else can serve. I am fighting just to stay afloat, to exist without you. All that's left is just some bad ink. I stain my skin just to feel. Another time, but this was meant to be. I will know when it's real. Forget me never. Let me be in your life. Forget me never. Let me be in your lives. Small enough to slip by, big enough to crush my heart. Something changed in me that day.
Wonderful. Nice one.
It's actually like my worst nightmare to sit in the room and then watch everyone listen to the song. I was just saying to Tony, like, I haven't listened to that song for years because I don't put it in the set anymore. So it's like really weird. And then everyone...
That's why we're here. So just to circle back on the whole, the way the music comes to life through kind of jamming and iteration. So first of all, given that it was your first EP and given, all the things that you said, you didn't have a musical background. So how did you navigate the feelings you had being in this room with musicians who are clearly obviously been doing it a lot longer than you, knowing that, you're the vocalist, so you're going to be the vocal of the tracks. Yeah, I mean, how did you navigate those emotions and being in that space? And then on top of that, how did you develop the kind of, the writing side of things, the lyric writing side of things in that situation?
I mean, I suppose I think if you're going into a situation where like you're a complete novice, like does novice mean that you don't know? Yeah, so I knew nothing in that situation. So it's kind of like there was nothing to prove or lose because I knew I was just going in there to take something away, you know what I mean? Like I was just like it's not like I was going in there to try and be like, so this is how, like, I was just like, okay, I'm in the room, shall now? Like, yeah, like it was very much like that. And I think it allowed me, there was no ego because I was just like, okay, I suppose I'll just make some noise. And I think what helped as well is that, with that EP in particular, like Still, A Mother Lost, and can't remember what the other song was, but I had that, I'd written the entire songs. So the lyrics were already there. And that's how I think writing, I know I'm saying that cute story about how I got into singing, but the writing element for me was just like, that song is super sad. I still have my mum, by the way, because a lot of people think that is me about losing my mum, and it's not. But I was writing to get that stuff out of my mind. And because I'd been in the rooms with musicians, I had this idea like of melody and pace and all of this stuff that from having the two things together, that's why it circles back, because I had an understanding of what a chorus was by then. I knew that was like the main bit. So I knew like a mother lost. That's why I repeated it. But I'm literally, these are like glorified diary entries, I suppose. It's like, and it has always been like that for me. Music still now if I'm writing, and I think that's why I can't write on demand every day like that, because like if I don't feel it, like it's not supposed to come through. And I just feel like that song was like alchemy, because it was like such a sad time, lack of a feeling of being able to express yourself to the people around you, I suppose, was just like, okay, I'm gonna get it out like this. And then because it's gone from me going into a rehearsal space, it's almost like this other thing now, it can take on this other life. Like I don't feel that way anymore. And the things that I'm talking about in that song have now been immortalized in this thing that is like a beautiful collaboration, So yeah, that's kind of how it was. I had those things before.
Absolutely, it's good to know. How did, when it was out in the world, how did it feel? I mean, did you feel like, okay, I'm an artist now, it's in the world, I've done all this kind of feelings and emotions and, post-stressful work sessions are now encapsulated in this EP,
It felt like, it didn't feel like I'm an artist now. That's something I've really struggled with up until maybe after the album came out. Like if someone asked me what I do, I wouldn't say I'm an artist. Like I just wouldn't say that. I don't know why. But afterwards, it felt like, I suppose the context was really different. Like I was working so much. I think the week that came out, the charity was running out of funding. I was like trying to write a funding bid. So I know this is going to sound bad, but I just didn't care. Like for me, and now I've realized that's part of me as an artist. Like the process is the most important bit. Because once it comes out, it's no longer mine anymore. I don't want to get wrapped up in what life it takes on afterwards. I think that's like can be dangerous territory for an artist if the pinnacle is like the reception. The pinnacle is like how it's received. Then it's like that's going to be a really tricky
kind of
journey.
Downhill from there.
You know what I
in a way.
mean? Like
Yeah.
you can't. So I just kind of let go of it. Like I was just like, I think I went on holiday after I finished that funny bit. You know, like I was just working. I was like, it felt nice to achieve something out of my job, and I just felt relieved. You know. And it was actually a bit chaotic because then with the band, I decided to set up a record label, even though I didn't really know what that meant or what that entailed. If I did, I never would have done it. And we sent, I remember like before I went on holiday, I was like, yeah, let me send it out to all the radio shows that I listened to, yeah. I sent out over 100 emails with no fucking attachment on it. Like, it just wasn't like I was just like, oh, whatever, like it happens. And then we put them on Bandcamp. And I was like, okay, like, you know, my dad was like, we were talking about this yesterday, how my dad's a driving instructor and he was shotting them out of the back of the car. He used to be like, you buy 5 lessons together, yeah?
Old school,
you get this,
old school.
You get this ride off. And then, but the thing is, like, even now, like, some of those people still come. So large up my dad. But I didn't really feel anything. I was like, like, it felt like a novel thing, like a hobby, you know, like if it literally was my hobby then. It was like my escape. I was like, I've made this thing, you know? Yeah.
Wicked. So obviously from that release, you had 2 other further EPs, right? That, you know, which were obviously took you into new places. Same kind of format, I think, in terms of jamming, making tracks. Yeah, but then you decided to make an album, right? So why the EP album? You know, why not just do another third EP? What made you think, you know what, I'm actually going to do an album now?
So I still wasn't doing music full time then. So I suppose it's just a capacity thing. Like I had a lot of like responsibility, so I could like making an album. I just didn't have time, But then after I'd made the first one, because it's funny when I'm just writing it and then I'm writing it and then I'm like, you're in it to make the track and then it's made. Then I don't listen to my own music. So then it's like when we started playing it out and I realised what those songs meant for me, had done for me. It was like a more of a personal thing. I said to Amy, my manager, she wasn't my manager at the time, she was just a friend, but I was like, there's 3 of these. It's like I'm in like this chapter of 3 things in my life, which I know sounds weird, but it's just how I saw it. And I don't know even what, I didn't even know what the third one was by then. I didn't know that they were all going to be themed around the time of day. I was just like, and also the artwork that I had, my friend had painted that. It's actually it's like an oil on canvas, real thing that was then digitalized. And when she painted that and depicted the world, like the sky and that behind or whatever, and she was like, yeah, we're going to use these colors of this, that, and the other. I was like, okay, I get what's going on. I get what those songs mean to me in my life at that moment. And what journey I'm on. And then I was like, and then all the covers get lighter. My face changes. So it looks like from there, I think, to directly at the front. And it was like just my little journey, I suppose. Maybe that was what I needed to do to feel like I was an artist, to find my way, to then make an album. And when it got to like, I'd done 2 EPs and then someone had asked me, you know, do you want to do an album with us? And my manager was like, don't you dare give anyone your album yet. They're not ready. Like, as a joke. And I was like, they're not ready. And then that was it. I was just like, oh, I'll just leave it. Like, also, I'll be really real with you, fear. Like I said, like, I was probably like, now, if someone asked me what I'll do, I'll be like, oh, I'm a singer, like, I'm an artist, blah, blah. But it took me a real long time of imposter syndrome or feeling like, I know I've just kind of like stumbled in here, but like, am I supposed to be in the room type feeling?
Well, I mean, let's just talk about that imposter syndrome. Was it imposter syndrome because you haven't had the background in musicianship, or because, you know, you charge your chaps a guy? What? No,
you know, I mean,
is it because you see other people better than you? Is that what it is?
I just like, it's confidence. Having confidence in what you do is like really hard, especially when the stuff I write about, like, I'm not trying to make up some wild stories, but that's my life. So it's like, these are things that I'm going through. And then to assert, like, I'm an artist behind these real stories felt like weird to me. I was usually the least experienced person in the room. And also, and I know this feels like a weird thing to say, but I didn't want it. Like, I didn't always want to be an artist. So I felt like I didn't deserve to be there because everyone was like, you know, been on the keys since 4 and stuff like that. And I was like, you don't deserve to be here because you don't want it and you haven't put in the same thing. But then over time, I've just tried to let that fall away. It just takes the joy out of it, to be honest with you. So, yeah.
But also, it was, you know, you need your time to kind of embody what it means to be an artist. Do you know what I mean?
And what it means for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, I suppose by my definition now, I would say as an artist, because what I'm doing is expressing myself. I'm expressing myself in a format that is then playable or presentable. That's what that means to me, I suppose. Like, I'd held this version of artist of, like, you know, someone that's, like, cool and, like, you know, has all this experience and is maybe before I'd associated as, like, you had to be doing well to be an artist. Whereas now I know that's not true. It's like you're an artist if you express yourself and you know what I mean, you've got an art form, then you're an artist. So that's why I wasn't saying it before, because I just didn't have any of that confidence, I suppose.
Well, let's listen to a track from your debut album and we can chat about it.
Okay.
When we first met, all I thought I needed love and to be loved by you. But there's something else that I'm seeking outside you. 'Cause there are still pieces missing of me. Could they have fell through the cracks when it became complete? And I thought it'd be different, I did. Never thought I'd know love like this. Forever grateful that you flipped the script. Thought it'd be different, I did. Never thought I'd know love like this. Yes, you changed the narrative. Pieces of me, sometimes it goes. Take no pieces of me that you fell in love with. Didn't know loving you meant missing pieces of me, but it goes. From then till now, I can't believe I made strangers out of me and you. We built this house with love, the mortar's made from us. And I know that nothing in this moment will last. So here are some last words. Hope you understand. Thought it'd be different, I did. Hoping your love could heal it someday.
Okay. You need to just break it down. That's a beautiful song. Beautiful. And the whole album is incredible, but I think that track in particular is super. It's really beautiful. There's like the thing I like about it the most is there's an intimacy and kind of like a tenderness to the vocal. You know, there's an honesty there, you know, that's just really beautiful, you know, and really honest and really kind of, I guess, testament to, I guess, your approach to songwriting anyway, right? So, yeah, just talk us through the writing process of the album more broadly, but then maybe highlight this track in particular.
I think this is a good sort of like one to choose from the album because it encapsulates a lot of the ways that I work. I actually made this last, then decided to put this out first because I'm a feelings girl, you know, and it's like I said, like, actually the label had an idea that they wanted to put a different song out first, but like energetically for me, I came out of a 7-year relationship. I wrote that song. It was all the words that I couldn't say. It came out like word vomit. That doesn't happen when I'm writing. It was like one like take kind of thing. And that I remember I was like super adamant that had to go first, and they were like, no, they want the banger to go, whatever the banger is, whatever. But like they want to, I was like, no, this is going first because actually it makes sense in the story for me and my album. It makes sense. So it was kind of like that. But also in terms of processes, like me and Dave, when we first met,
as in David Kumu, right?
David Kumu. So it's like he executive produced the album, but I worked with like lots of different producers, amazing producers, Mellow Zed. If you don't know him, you should check him out. He does such good work. And also another guy called Craig Dodds, who I worked with on some of the songs, and some guys from the Railway Tavern Pub. But really early on, we had this like discussion about imperfection. And I said to him, like, Dave, like, just so you know, I'm not like going to be in the booth. We're not going to do this 15 times. Up front, I was like, I'm not going to do that. I was like, it's going to take the fun out of it, you know, take after take after take. And I'm kind of a big believer in if like you ain't getting it in the free, you probably need a break and come back to it another day. It is what it is. Like, I'm just like, sometimes it's like, I think expression, when I listen back, like there are quite things that are quite clearly out of tune that I can hear, and I'm just like, you know, but like in the first bit, like it's like just before the first chorus, it just kind of drowns out because I insisted on recording most of the vocals on my own. So there's rarely any fancy mics on anything that I've used. I mean, I asked, I couldn't even remember what mic we used for something, but I did get it written down. But for this one, I think I just used like your book standard, like open mic night mic. Do you know what I mean?
SM58
That's
business.
The one, yeah. For most of them, because I insisted on recording it separately, all the vocals, record them. I was just really sad, you know. I was tired when I recorded that. You can hear so many cracks in the voice. It's out of tune, but it's like I like to record in one take all the way through because, first of all, I'm like, you're going to have to do that on stage if you can't do it now. But and also just because it's probably out of lack of knowledge as well, you know. I'm not an engineer. As soon as I look at the computer, I sort of freeze. So it's like one take is kind of like as much as my brain can take on my own when I'm recording. And then there were things about it, but I think the rawness is like, I don't know. We had a conversation upstairs and I was sort of saying my approach to the album to get out of my head of being like, is this good enough? Is this not good enough? Sort of scrap all of that. And it's like, as long as I can sound like me, like then it's a job done, you know? So I was like, bring whatever I've got 100%. And when I recorded that, I was tired. I was upset, you know, I wanted to use the original song that I wrote, like the original take. But because I recorded it on my phone, I couldn't do it, and I think there was a few tears at the end. That would have been a bit too exposing, so we didn't use that. But it was like one afterwards, and that was kind of the approach to the album. Is like not too much touching up. I'm a big lover of the demo because what you get from the demo that you don't get when it goes into the full tidied up production is the essence. It's that first like, that was the idea. Oh, I've just thought to say that right now. Like that stuff is so magic to me. for me personally, I'd rather take that over like being able to hit that note in the first chorus. And I was really lucky that I worked with people that backed that. They were just like, I also get that as well, you know what I mean? There's like a certain realness in that, like, you know, I'm in pain, like whether the voice is good or not, you know, I'm in pain, like that's a true story, you know. So it's like, I think that was important. And most of the vocals I recorded for the album were alone, again, just because I just felt nervous. I remember when we did Late Night People, and it's like we had this it was so good, everyone just locked in. And it was just like silence and eye contact, and everyone was like playing the thing. I was like, stay here, like this is it. And I had the melody, and I was like, this is like that moment where it came together in the room. I was like, no, I know I need to write that, about that feeling when you're out and everything's just like thing. But I felt too shy to say I'm gonna write a song about going out in the room. So then I had to go to the toilet, record the vocal in the toilet so I didn't forget it, come back, and then I just sat there for ages while everyone's jamming. They're like, you got anything, As? I'm like, no, not really. Not yet. And like, sometimes I would just go in the studio and I would just leave the mic on the side and then hum it in the room so I can hear it, but not everyone else can hear it. The whole album was a real test of that stuff. And that's why I started the album. I don't know if you've heard, on the album starts with this skit called Fly Low Tweet. It's this tweet that I seen from Flying Lotus. He said like, self-consciousness is the creativity killer, and I had that in my mind the whole way through. And actually most of the album was just overcoming that in whatever way. A lot of it was jams. Maybe some of it's like my first time of like trying to, not first time, but I felt like I was really welcome with people that were really open to it being like truly collaborative, you know. Like I found communication was incredibly important in the process. That's what a lot of it is in the studio, is like whether you can get what's in here out to the other person and make that like a tangible thing.
And what, how does that develop over time? I mean, because obviously with the album, you've got a lot more experience with obviously working with musicians and being able to communicate yourself. I mean, like, just give us a scenario of how it would be in the room. Obviously musicians are together, drummer starts doing his thing or her thing, bassist starts playing, then do you start getting a James Brown and do that kind of vibe? Or do you
sometimes,
how does it work?
I mean, like, when I first started making music, I'd be like, I've got an idea, and I'd be like, this is what I hear. So a lot of the time what I'm doing is just humming out every part. Mm-hmm. And that was my way. And like when I first started, the first band that I had, I think they were like super tight on the lingo and stuff like that. So they'll be like, so you're more into like this, like major, F major, 7, 9th quarter, something. I was just like, it's I think that finding who you can communicate with, and I definitely had that in the room with these lot, because I would just say like, it needs to feel like dirtier, or it needs to feel like less clean. I would always say less clean, everything less clean, too shiny. And I think actually if everyone's honest, you kind of know what that means. But then some people can just be pedantic and be like, I don't know, do you want me to like turn this plugin like up? And it's just like, I think it's such a blessing to find that group of people, you know, find that in Dave. He's all about the flavours and the feels. I'll just be like, you know, I want it to feel like this, like, and then it goes like, and that's how it is sometimes in the studio, you know what I mean? Or just humming everything out. So I found my way of communicating now. I'll just hum everything. Or then if it gets to the drum, and then I'll just tap it out, roughly.
So then I guess you'll jam the track together, and then they'll give you, I guess, a demo to work with, and then you'll go on your own and just work with the vocals on your own.
Sometimes it's really different. Like, you know, with Zach, I really like any sort of studio that feels like a living room, because then it's like relaxed and it's like it gives like relaxed, safe environment, cozy, all the things that I feel like you should probably feel when you're making music. And we sat like for something like Sea Glass, and that was like, we just spent the whole day building it bit by bit by bit by bit. And sometimes it'll be like, you know, just chords, I'll go away with them and then write them like pieces. I went to my friend Sarah's house. I was like, those chords, like just that. And she was like, I think I should put it. I was like, just that. Then I wrote the entire song. And then I went back, and then we went back, and I was like, okay, now we need to get the rest of it on there, you know? So it just depends. Yeah.
And what was the I guess, was there anything particularly challenging about working on this album, apart from obviously the emotional outflow,
I
lyrically?
think seeing it through, actually, you know what? I think a lot of it's, if anyone feels like, oh, I couldn't do that or whatever, I think a lot of music is just like, who can see it through? You know what I mean? Like, you can sit so far in your head and dissect everything. And some of the biggest critiques I've got, are from people that never release anything, like they know all of the stuff, all the things that I should be changing, improving, working on, but you won't free yourself up. And I think like sometimes it's just like, fuck it, I'm being here, I'm showing up as my authentic self. Like, that is what it means to be the best artist for me that I can be. And so I think a lot of it is just that. Sorry, I forgot the question. I just got distracted by the sticker.
No, but that's real. I mean, I think that's, making an album is difficult and challenging.
Yeah. I remember
it's beautiful,
I got to one point, I actually rang my manager. I was like telling her I had demos. I had no demos, yeah. She rings me. I'm like, Ames, look, we've had a good run. We've got 3 EPs, yeah. I was like, we've had a nice time, but I think personally, that's it for me now. Because in my head, I was convinced. I was like, nothing's gonna come. Like, I was like, nothing is gonna come. I was really trying. Like I had the name voice notes before, and even, like I knew there was something there, but I was like, Amy, like I just think we've had a nice time. And I wanted to share this piece of advice because I think that it was really good and it kickstarted me to write. And she goes, Yaz, just write your story, whatever that is, And I was like, I started getting anything, but what's my story? What do people want to hear? What should I be writing out? It's like, no, just write your story. One day if your story is I went shop and got coffee, sometimes that's going to resonate and bang with people. And sometimes it can be the real heartache of a loss or something like that. But it's the writing from your truth. I think that works. And I would like, when she said that, she was like, just write your story. And I was like, yeah, or like it's literally not more than that,
Good old Ames.
Yeah, good old Ames. But I think I learned that to bring 100% new. I learned that communication is everything in the studio. It is everything. I also learned that the process is where it's at. That is like when you deep it, like being in the studio, one idea can be everything and nothing in one moment. That's so exciting. Like once it's set, it's just set. Like it's done. Not saying like that, but I don't listen to my own music, so it's kind of like the funnest bit for me is before it comes out, and then it's fun to perform and stuff. But the process is really important, and I learned so much about myself. Actually, the stumbling blocks were me.
What way?
Thinking you can't do it, like what does that even mean? My ability to stay on task as well, I was really proud that I finished it because I finished something, like that was also part of it, like I actually made it to the end. What else? Yeah, those are just things that I explored, and just what feels good. That was the only way you could decide, is this song going on or not? I was like, okay, this one feels better than this one for me. So that's the decider, Yeah.
Were you involved in the, I guess the mixing process at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that for you?
Straight out, I was just like, Dan, I know you've worked on a lot of pop stuff and I know it's all like incredibly successful stuff is charting, but do not clean my vocal too much, Because if you put me in a category where you're gonna clean it to where I'm gonna be in a category which is like the majority, it would need to be really good. Whereas if I just do what I'm doing, that's all I need to do, and
No, but that's interesting because a lot of the time, that the thinking would be to, as to your point, kind of clean up and polish it up to make it sound more polished. But actually, you're saying this is me. Leave it as it is.
Because that's not my voice.
Yeah, no, sure.
And I've had to
absolutely.
get comfortable with that, the cracks, the fact that I've only just been learning. I started having some vocal coaching sessions this year, and it's like showing me how to hold a note, and to be able to finish my sentences and all of this stuff. But I've only learned them techers now. So it's like before, if there's a crack, it's because I haven't got enough breath, because I haven't learned how to breathe properly when I'm singing these songs. That's how it is. And that's just how it is, you know? And that's okay. Like, I think there's this idea as well that you have to come into the music industry knowing everything. And I feel like I'm proof that you don't, because I'm still learning it now. And I was literally learning everything on the spot. But that's okay. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Should we see if these guys have got any questions for you? I'm sure they have.
Yeah.
If you've got a question, just stick your hand up, and there's a microphone going around. Give us a sec.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming down and sharing like your story. I wanted to ask, like, how were you able to make that transition from working and like the business side of it, kind of basically, to becoming a full-time musician? Because streets are peak right now,
Babe,
ain't it?
don't think it gets any easier. That's one thing I will say. I'm glad you asked, and I'm going to give it to you 100% real, because had I known what was involved in the industry, would I have left my job? Like, if I truly knew how rocky and up and down it could be, I don't know if I think it was just, I was just like, oh my gosh, I've been offered a tour, like, I'm going to quit my job, you know, like, but I didn't quit my job for a really long time. And I thought that was a blessing, because it meant that I was able to provide for myself without having to panic make my art. You know, I think everyone's always like, oh, I need to get out there. Like, no, for what? Like, touring is expensive. Touring is so expensive. Like, the realities of touring, I went all over the world last year. It was new to me to realize that on top of tax that I pay here, I went to America, because I'm not earning over a certain threshold. You have to earn like a certain amount of £1,000 in America. If you don't, then it's like 40% withholding tax from a fee from an artist at my stage, you know? Don't let anyone think that it's like you're not a real artist because you've still got a job. Like, there is no shame in being like, I don't have like the kind of financial backing, which means that I can just leap into something where I don't know that I'm going to be able to pay my rent. And I think that having my job for as long as I did gave me the freedom to like create without pressure. You know, like, for the first time I'm in a situation now where it's like, cool, so I could take 5 years to make another album. Like, absolutely. How am I going to eat? Like, do you know what I mean? That's the real realities of it. I would say a side hustle is always good. Keep yourself comfortable. I believe in taking risks artistically, but, you know, it's not fun. Being broke and trying to create and trying to, like, I'm not trying to, the starving artist, like, whole thing, it's not on brand for me. Like, I don't love that as a thing. So I actually had a job when I was making the album. Like, I didn't have like my main like career job that I used to do, but I went and worked in a wine shop, which offered me again, like, it was just like a nice to have another skill. I think when I started to get into music and I started to meet more musicians, and some of them would like explain to me how difficult it was and stuff like that, I thought, I never want everything that I have and am to be music. You know, I actually don't. I think that's dangerous. My entire worth being everything that I am tied up in this one thing that I actually don't have control over, you know? And so I would say making the transition, grants are good. Grants have really helped me to actually get the record out. You know, pressing vinyl isn't cheap, but I think that has done me a lot of favors, pressing the vinyl, that there is this physical thing out there that I've like, you know, encapsulated that way. But my first ever record that I did, I got a grant from Help Musicians UK for £900. And because I had a job, it meant that I could pay for the rest of it, you know? So I'm a big believer in not rushing in, and the way that touring is, the way the music industry is right now, I think if you can straddle both, so it's like you've got a thing and you've got a thing, like you've got a job that can give you some money and some freedom and you can create, then you can. Obviously, there's time to just be like, you know, and I think what happened for me, because of the kind of work that I was doing, it was so intense, the kind of cases I had on, I actually couldn't physically be in those two headspaces of like, I remember one week I came back from Croatia, and on the Friday I was on a boat party, on the Monday I was in court with a kid, and I was just like, this is too much. So for me then I was like, because been doing this intense job for so many years, I was like, I want to take this leap and do something that just feels fun. But it's not always been easy, you know? And so, but also I'll say as well, like, I've got no shame if I have to get a job at some point or whatever. I hope I don't, but if I do, there's no shame in that, you know? The industry isn't necessarily, it's like, it's changing in a way as well, where I think, like, if you've got a lot of financial backing, if you just, you know, can just make the investment of just getting a whirly just for banter, do you know what I mean? Because you got lots of, like, if you've got lots of support, then that's great. But if not, there's no shame in, like, having both. And I wanted to keep music my hobby and my choice for as long as possible. I would be lying if they say there isn't any switch when it becomes the way that I now make my living. You know, there is a little bit of a switch, because it's dawned on me in the past couple of years. I was like, oh shit, I'm running a business. You know, that bit I don't think I signed up for. I wasn't ready for that. Had I known, I'd be actually operating a business. And it took me a long time to wake up, like, you're running a business. Like, so there's now a way that I have to think about shows, which I didn't have to before. Which is crazy. So I'm a big believer in, like, when it feels right and comfortable, or prep, you know, there's no sick pay. Like, I can't really get sick. Like, you know what I mean? There ain't no anything. Don't get me wrong when I'm saying that. I'm really clear that music has brought so much to my life. People, encounters, experiences, just actually healing for myself. It doesn't owe me anything. Yeah, I've got enough for music to last me a lifetime in self-development alone. But I have to live, and it's kind of scary. Like, that suddenly there is this change. Like, I can't actually wait 7 years to make another album, even if I wanted to. So I would just bear that in mind, you know. And when I came into it and I moved back to London, obviously now I've got a lot more friends that are musicians and that are doing, you know, a lot further along in their careers. And I was like, oh, it'll be all right. Like, when I get to you, and they're like, babes, when you get here and the shows get bigger, you're going to have this, this, and this. So I just say that to give some actual reality, because I think that the way things look, like, sometimes when I go places, yeah, after the album came out, I don't know what it must look like on Instagram, but I'm just a regular girl, and then people feel like they approach you as though, like, I'm minted or something. It ain't that. It really ain't that. So, you know, I think when it feels comfortable to you, when the risk feels like a considered risk for you, and also just do both. You know, if you've got a skill set where you can do both, you know, or, like, some people, I wish I had, like, you know, like, I don't know, like a technical skill that I could straddle always in music. You know, I could do sound tech or whatever. I can't, but, you know, if you can maybe merge the worlds, I think that's a good idea.
DJing?
Huh?
DJing?
DJ, now you see me. If you lot see me now I'm DJing, now you know why, innit? Because I need this year to make an album, and I can't be on the road like that. I tried to make music last year, but I was away. I wasn't in the same place. So now I'm a DJ. You know, can I mix? Absolutely not. And my selection's great. Yeah. So come see me. You know,
you're a selector then. Do you know what I mean?
I'm a selector.
Cool. Next question. Is there one? Question right here in the front. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Philip. I really appreciate your insights. It's very inspirational hearing your experience. What would you tell yourself if you could talk to your younger self when you were starting music? Like, what piece of advice would you give them?
I would say the best art is truth. So bring 100% of yourself at all times, you know. Do you at maximum capacity. That's all you need to worry about. Don't watch for nobody else. I would be like, get business savvy and quick. That's what I'd be like, you know, tap into that side of things, you know. That's also part of being a successful artist. It's a business, and if you have a good business model, and that's nothing to do with your art, it's actually about, like, business, you know, there's that. I would say decide really early on, really quickly, what the markers of success are for you before anyone else does. And you need to be clear about what those are for yourself, because I think that, you know, I always known that like followers and things like this and counts, like it doesn't really mean anything to me. But then I suddenly went into an environment where people literally, they talk about, like in a meeting, they might talk about you like your commodity and be like, yeah, we'd love to offer you, but you know, your reach is not this, you've only got this amount of followers, blah, blah. I'm just like, are you okay? Like, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't mean anything to me, but this is the game that we're in, you know, and they will say things like that to you. Find your community of people that you try, because I know that I'll make music forever now. Facts. That's just a set thing. But that's also because I've found the community where I can make that happen. Whether that everyone else will hear it when I'm 50, I don't know. But it's just something that I'll do, you know, because of how it makes me feel. And I think finding people that really appreciate the craft, I feel really lucky to have found that. Because there are a lot of like hype people, do you know what I mean? There's a lot of hype. It's like a lot of rubbish in the industry itself, not music. So finding the right people, and you have to have a little bit of self-belief. I think that's why it took me a long time of like, not like it's not that I think I'm like the best artist or whatever. I'm just like proud of like my own markers, you know, and like it's good to have those, like, and not marks by anyone else. Like I finished a record, not what did the record do. I finished the record, you know. I saw it through with a group of people. We had a vision and we made that happen. That's a proud moment, you know. So I think those things are important. And I'll be real with you. Like I made a joke. I went for a meeting for a label. They were like, "What do you want?" I said, "I'm gonna need a personal trainer. I'm gonna need a therapist." He started laughing. I said, "But let's talk about it like this, right? Who is really protecting the artist? Because one thing that I realized becoming a business is like, the business is me, yeah? So everyone that is working with me, around me, is also making money off you. And you need to be able to keep yourself well, whatever that means to you, you know? Like, it's like, I'm such a sociable person. I've never experienced social burnout, ever, until the last couple of years, you know? Like, and like, I just think it's really important for us to look after ourselves. That's also about finding the right people to be around. But I'm just out here like singing all my life stories and trauma. Like sometimes you need to know how to deal with that, you know? And it's so funny because when he was laughing, I was like, that's so funny that you're laughing, because if I went on a mad bender, you lot would stick me in rehab so quick to make sure that I could get back on the tour. But where is that infrastructure for artists up front? Yeah? So I think it's just really good about, and because I've got so many friends that are not in music, they'll just say things, but they don't care who is this person and who is that person and what event this is. They're just like, what? They're only doing this, or what? They're not allowing you to do that. And I think that's really good to have these people that care about you around you, and just not to lose the joy of it. Because I have seen that in some people where they're like, oh, touring, oh, pressing, oh, that's like, I really, really hope, touch wood, that doesn't happen to me, where I'm just like, oh, this is all so boring. Like, oh yeah, I'll just turn out another album. Like, that would be the saddest thing. So if I can keep that, that's also why, just to speak on the fact that I did think about getting a lot of the technical stuff, you know, the files from Dave, but actually what we do in that room is so sacred and so much bigger than just an audio file. Like, I can tell you the kind of compressor. I mean, there's not really lots of like loads of things, secrets going on in the production, but like that is the combination of people being honest with each other and having some communication in there. So yeah, these are the things that I think are super important. Basically, look after yourself, find your team, find your markers for what you want to achieve, and don't small yourself as well, you know, in the thing. 'Cause sometimes it can be like, oh, I'm not gonna be, so it doesn't. And it's like, no, you have to value your art first and foremost before anybody else does. So I think those things, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for your question. Cool. Anyone else? Okay, cool. All right. So tell us about this song.
What is it? Morning Matters? Yeah. After.
money not happening to me. It's happening for me. The cycle's never ending. That's why now I befriend it. What you leave at nighttime will come find you in the sunrise. Mornings matter to me. And even when it's miserable, thankful for the day to come. Oh, oh, oh. And even when it's miserable, thankful for the day to come. I think the morning matters. I think the morning matters. I think the morning matters to me, to me.
Nice.
This one, you know what? I was really scared to put this one out. So I said to Craig, like, it sounds fucking cheesy. Morning matters to me. I was like, is this dead, Craig? Am I? And I was like, oh, I don't know. This I'd had like I'd heard this song. It was like off a soundtrack of something, documentary or something. It had this like low drone that was repetitive, and because I don't have the techers for production, anything I find like that that's going to give me the tempo and the feel or something, I'll like bookmark it. And I was like, it's got this like sludge to it, Craig. I was like, we need to like darken it a bit, because if I'm doing Morning Matters and it's got bells on it, it's going to be like. So it started off as this loop. So Craigie was just like, I think he really wanted to give me the confidence like that the ideas that I had were good, because it's like, because I couldn't translate it to play to a demo that I could play him, you know, like on software. He was, you know, and loads of people I've worked with like that have been really encouraging, and he would, and I said that, so I'm humming this bit, and then I was like, the drums are kind of like this, and then it's like it goes like, you know, and all of this stuff. And he really walked me through it. You know, we sat in the studio for 2 days, just us building up this idea, which sounds quite different from this, to be honest, in a way. And he works with a lot of big artists, and we know we had this version. I was like, to make it feel like me, I was like, we need to get the band in, like we need to replay it and then chop the bits out, because that I know how to. I think because I'm used to that environment, I feel like I can control that, because in the rehearsal room I can be.
You're in the moment.
I'm in the moment, and it's like, and the other thing about making music is like when there's real instruments in the room, everyone is this active energy. Everyone is doing something, so I don't feel like everyone's just looking at me. So I feel like it's easier to direct and bounce things than when we're sitting at a thing, because I don't know what plugin to ask for, what, you know what I mean? So yeah, we had this loop or whatever, and then we got the band in to play it, and then Craigie chopped it up, and then we finally got Ife to come in and do the horn line, and we were all, because it was nearly finished by that point, and I was like, actually, because it's the morning, we should have something like horns that make it feel like, you know, like a call, wake up call, whatever. And then he was in the booth, and then he was kind of aging, and he's just like on the mic, he's like, can I come out yet? We were just having such a good time listening to him. He was like, can I come out yet? But yeah, it was a really good process. And just to say as well, that was a good lesson in just let go of things, because it's like, if I really had allowed my head to take over, I was like, that and Own Your Own, I was like, is this cheesy? But then it's like, why I gotta make sad songs all the time, you know what I mean? And it's actually crazy, because that's the song that does the best. Like, everywhere we go, like any country or whatever, that's the song that people want to hear. And it was so not expected. You know, I just really didn't expect that. And it was a really nice surprise and a good lesson, just let go of things, babe. Like, just keep letting go of things. And it was just me talking myself out of bed. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just me talking myself up. But this is the other thing that's really interesting, is through doing music, I just realized that we're so obsessed with being unique, but we have so many similar thoughts, you know? Yeah, we're human beings, and it's like I feel like a lot of people needed help getting out of bed some days, and that's why that one is probably the one that resonates the most. It's a really clear set of things, like, you know. So yeah, and that was like the third EP. So I definitely got more of a way of like describing my ideas by then. Yeah.
Was there I guess a confidence in the third EP? Obviously before you worked on the album, but it feels to me there's there's a confidence in the third EP that perhaps wasn't there so much in the first album.
Yeah,
first
I
EP,
think so.
Yeah,
And that's also about people that I was working with, and also because I knew there was going to be the 3. For me, it was kind of clear that was the shortest one to make. You know, as I think that was like maybe 5 days, because I was like, this is the third one. You know, you've got the first and second. You know that this is going to be the third in the trilogy. I just had this idea it was going to be a trilogy. So yeah, a little bit of confidence, and it was nice. I went in with Moses as well. And
Boyd, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was great. And again, he was really encouraging. I bought him all these like 30-second clips of all the different songs. I was like, you know these drums, yeah, Moses? Yeah, it's these drums. Not all of it, just this 20 seconds, you know? You know this, it's this kind of sound. And it was really nice to work with them. Yeah.
It's really great to hear that you've found a really good community of musicians and producers and to work with, because I think a lot of the time, well, not a lot of the time, there can be times when it's the opposite of that, right? Particularly when you're the vocalist and, you know, producers can almost like use the lack of technical insight against you, right?
Yeah.
So it's really encouraging to hear that when it works well for you, it's an amazing, right?
Yeah.
And you have a voice in the environment, not just a voice as in your speaking voice, but you've got a creative voice, which is your language.
Yeah.
And you've got people who've learnt that language. So that's, and the outcome is obviously fantastic, you know?
And I learned as well, like, I stopped letting anyone tell me that I was ill-equipped to be in the room anymore, you know what I mean? I think the first one, it was a lot of like, you don't know this, and it was like, well, I'm here and I'm doing it. So, and not even in a way of like, I thought I was any good, you know, like if someone asks like, oh, are you a good singer? It's like, I wouldn't necessarily say yes, but it's just like, I just suddenly got fed up of like, men asserting themselves in the studio over me. I was like, that's just not gonna happen. You know what I mean? And some of the best artists come out of just people like, you know, when you look all around the world, it's like, you don't need all these resources all the time. Like, art, it can just be created. So I'm not going to let anyone tell me that I couldn't create in that way, you know? Especially as a woman in the industry, I think that people can just get twisted that like what it is and what it isn't.
So what's next on the cards for you now?
Next on the cards is album number 2.
You started it yet?
Yeah. No, it's like, maybe it's all the point where you're just like, I always feel like you just like, there's moments where I'm just like seeping everything in, and I'll be out a lot and around and experiencing everything, and then I'll just disappear, and then I'll do my writing, you know. Like, I feel a bit nervous. I always want to excite myself. So there's like, because of the first album, people have an idea of how they've placed you, and, you know, what you should make next and stuff like that. But I always want to amuse myself, you know. I want to make things that excite me, because I want to stand there and sing them. So I don't know. Who knows what it will be like? I have a bit of an idea of what I want to talk about, and I've got more ideas about how to put stuff together now. So the going in to make the songs, probably less will be done in the room, because I'll be bringing more from before. But yeah, there's an element of nerves, because I know there is like some sort of time limit on this. Like, I can't just like, it'll come. I can't just do that for ages.
So what are we saying? 12 months, 18 months?
I think any longer than 12 months, I'm probably fucking about. I'm probably just not focusing, you know?
So you've got some witnesses here, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
12
And that's
months,
also
right?
why I'm saying it, because then I'll be like, Yazmin, do you want to feel shame in 12 months? Or do you want to, but yeah, no, I'm making stuff at the moment. making lots of different music at the moment, and like all this year really. And then there's like one or two that are like jumping out. I'm like, okay, this is like, sometimes it's just like you're making and you make one and you're like, okay, we're in album mode now. She's awake, you know? She's like, yeah. So doing that, doing a lot of DJing, and want to do some other bits around music. Hopefully this year I can link the youth and the youth work and the music stuff back together again a little bit.
Well, we're gonna do something
about that.
We're
Yeah.
gonna talk about that. Yeah.
And you know what? It's just such a pleasure to play other people's music. Do you know how unstressful that is? Like, even if the deck's cut out, I'm just like, whatever, man. Like, they're cut out. They cut out. Like, it's, and you know, usually I'm just playing reggae, lovers rock, letters. So it's just like, if I can shout over it, it's nice anyway. But it's really nice to just share what you love. That just feels like such a joyous thing. And and it's being like someone who doesn't have experience in something again, you know, like I'm just like, all right, this is probably going to go wrong. It's that just the excitement of just trying to get better at something. Yeah. So I'm enjoying that. Yeah, that's it really.
It's so refreshing to hear someone just say, have a go. Do you know what I mean? Just have a go at something.
I really wanted to everyone to take that.
It's a bit like what you said earlier. A lot of the industry, you know, you've got to have this level of professionalism, or at least allude to that, right? Where actually a lot of it can just come from, you know, having a go and seeing where it goes, right? And the naivety can breed lots of different things, you know. We talked about that earlier, but
yeah,
this idea of just, following your gut, regardless of if you're technically aware or whatever, just do your thing. Yeah. And whatever you make, you can build on that.
Yeah, I really wanted to get that across today, is like, just have a go. Because you know what as well, like, I've got so many friends with incredible voices. Like, half of some of my girlfriends, I'm like, babes, if you wanted to, you could. They got much better voices than me, but some of it is just like taking that leap. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it's something that you want or you're interested in, but then you never put your thing there, like, it's like we can't go anywhere from that, you know? And just starting somewhere, anywhere, is like, you know, don't be nervous about what you don't know. Be confident in what you do know. Be confident in what you bring to the table and what you don't. Find somebody else. So that's the beauty of collaboration, you know. You don't need to be good at the entire process of making music. You don't like I'm definitely not, but it's just like, I do my bit, you do your bit, we meet in the middle. But I really wanted to stress that. I think, especially, so I came to music, I think that first record came out when I was 28, I'm 35 now. And that's another thing in music as well. It's like, oh, you know, especially as women, they're like, you know, you need to get them while like you're young and cute, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, like we need to break down all music itself is like a healing force of the world, and we can't have anyone else putting these parameters on how that we can access that. So I just think like, and I don't know if you guys have seen Elijah, the DJ and label owner, you know, the Yellow Square things. Like I love those as thought-provoking things, and a lot of it is like, it's just the doing, you know, like. And one thing I learned, this is how I started to think about it. When my first studio session in proper studio in London, I felt sick. I was like, I can't. I was late because I was sitting around the corner because I just didn't want to go in. But it's like, then I started to weigh it up. It's like, there's an opportunity or an opening to go and have a new experience and to learn something. And then you can either sit here in this place of fear and not learn anything, or you can go. It might be rubbish. The man might be a psycho. You might never go back again. But I would have been in the studio for the first time, like a proper studio. And so I've gained something there. And I think that is the joy of craft, you know, and the process. And I think that we should all try and tackle that, whether it's music or... We don't have to be the best at everything. When you remove that bit, it's much easier and much more fun to just like go and experience, build up your community, you know. Like, I remember like this promoter was like laughing. He was like, oh, babe, like, you've got great voice. We'd love to have you, but you ain't even got 1,000 followers. So it's like, we can't really make any money off this. And that's like, yeah, okay. And now I'm like, okay, I'll never play for you. But, but it's like, don't focus on any of those things, because if you know what you're in it for and you're in it for the music, all of that stuff about worrying about can fall away. Whether you have enough money or have enough time or not, if there's no need to make it like in this way, then the time goes out the way, the age goes out the way, the resources goes out the way, you know. I think play is really important. Me and Dave talked a lot about that in the studio. And I hope, if you take away one thing, it's just like, to just try and express yourself if you can, you know? Yeah. And thanks for listening.
Well, exactly. You lot beat me to it. Yazmin Lacey, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.